Oh my god, Masters Universe Classics fans, I have the Masters Universe Classics Castle Grayskull. This thing is huge. I mean, damn, this thing is really ginormous. The box alone is so incredibly awesome. I have no other way of really recording this other than just moving my camera around because of its size is just so big. Phrasing, boom, I know what I just said. Anyways, here's the top cover of this. It's pretty awesome how we get all these images that are very reminiscent from the original 1980s Castle Grayskull, including the idea that we have an adult collector here who's holding Castle Grayskull. In the original packaging, it was a little kid. It is for the adult collector. And even though there is a weapons pack that's shown on the top here, it is not included. Luckily, I bought that separately. I won't read the Castle Grayskull bio, but it is pretty cool. You should Google it just so you can read what the classics version of this is. And oh, here's that adult kid again. The back packaging is also very reminiscent from the 1980s, where you can see a bunch of the figures that were available at the time that the original packaging was released. This, however, are different figures that are available, that are currently available from the Classics line, including some figures that were never released in the 1980s, such as Granomir over here. Here's a good visual of the art image that's included here. It is so incredibly awesome. I have to say that this is probably one of the coolest out of all the images that's been released from the Classics line. Here are all the items that are included in this packaging. I also got to point out that the size is approximately 24.5 inches or 62 centimeters. The adult kit is included on the front packaging as well. I have to give a huge major shout out to my online boyfriend, Nick. He's the guy who got this for me. Seriously, this was so incredibly awesome. I was not expecting it, and I am so super stoked to open this up. So anyways, let's go ahead and do this. I am really excited about it. Oh my glob, look at this guy. He is so fracking cool. Just the detail on the door alone. Look at this. How awesome is this? And oh my god, there's a little hole to the side. I wonder what that's for. Really loving the two-tone we have here where you can see the wood as opposed to the stone. We get it in several places. Like here, you can see it underneath the windowsill. A nice ledge here for, say, an action figure to be standing up. And a really cool piece here for the top of the building itself. And yes, here's the other side to a Grayskull. Again, we got more two-tone here. We have the wood as opposed to the green stone. We have an extra piece here that you could choose not to have a part of your Grayskull if you don't want a handling piece. I'll probably keep it on there just to keep it all together. And oh, wait a minute, there's a keyhole right here. I wonder what goes in there. Interesting side note, even though the drawbridge is one entrance and the other side looks like it's another entrance, they gave us this other little secret passageway as well. I'm glad they gave us this base as well. It looks so much better with that being on there. With the original Castle Grayskull, if you had both swords, you were supposed to be able to use a sword to enter into the drawbridge like this. In the comics, they did it slightly different where it was pushed into the side in the rock, which that happens as well here. You can see the teeth around the drawbridge here. They're not in quite as good shape as the original. For the side door, you could just use a sword of power just to open it up, just because it's a tiny little hole, or you could use the actual key to Grayskull, which was included in the Scareglow figure. Just for size comparison, here's He-Man in the drawbridge. He fits in pretty nicely. On the ledge here, it's not too difficult to get a figure to stand up there, as long as he doesn't have anything in the back like a cape or something that would be pushing him off. Real quickly, in aerial view, you can see the laser blaster here is included in it, as well as his two-tone flag where you see the two swords of power. Or the two halves of the power sword. Everyone always seems to have a different take on it. Here's a quick overview from the interior of it. Lots of cool computers, including the big screen of the Cosmos. We only have one shield included, but we do have several places it can be placed, including these other two places here. We have the wooden ladder also included, although it's a bit redundant being that we do have an actual elevator. The elevator does go up and down, including all the way to the top where we have this nice little ledge. Interesting note, we have these skulls included at the top here. Very nice attention to detail. The weapons rack wasn't included in this, but if you did purchase it separately, we do have some weapons that was included in Grayskull that you can use the weapons rack for. We got a couple extra things that wasn't included in the original 1980s Castle Grayskull, including this jetpack thing. It's pretty cool. It wraps around the figure itself. We also got some chains that attach to the figures and locks up inside the jail over here, which I can't really get my hand in there. The hole is just too small for me to do. And if you look inside the jail, you can see that they have the sticker where it has all these monsters and creatures that's crawling out from underneath it. It's something that was in the original one too, and I thought it was so cool back then. I'm glad they included it in this too. We have a floor that's also included in here. We also have a spot where you can put your Wind Raider, which I don't happen to have a Wind Raider, but still, if I were to purchase one, there's a nice little stand here that puts it there perfectly. We have a secret compartment up here where we have the Orb of Grayskull, or at least there would be an Orb of Grayskull if I had one. A lot of people have been putting other things up there, including the Starseed. I'll put something else there, I just haven't figured out what yet. There's a spot here for you to put the Sword of Grayskull Grayskull, I also put in the Sword of Protection because I figure both swords do belong there, right? Well, that is if She-Ra and He-Man don't have their swords. There's also the robot figure, which I always loved from way back then. Although, the back here is hollow. I'm curious as to why they did that. I guess maybe they're conserving on plastic. Here's the throne of Grayskull, and yeah, I know Skeletor doesn't belong there, but whatever. I think he looks perfect there. One thing that I'm really happy about that they included is if you turn the throne to the side, the trapdoor opens and whoever's standing on it falls down. Here's a better look of the throne. This is such a cool design. I'm also really glad that they included these two banners. There's a little hole here. This is specifically for the sorceress, so when she's sitting here, the back of her feathers go in really nicely. One last comparison here. Here's the 1980s and the 2000 versions of Castle Grayskull. I love this Classics version. I'm surprised that the 2000 version is almost as tall as it. But hey, you know what? Whatever. This is what we got. Some people have done their own custom version of Castle Grayskull where it's even bigger than this. I mean, I can't imagine it being too much bigger because it takes up so much space as it is. You have to love the 1980s and for what they were, but I do love the Classics a lot. This was great. It was totally worth it. And I have to say again, Nick, thank you so much. You're such an awesome boyfriend. I can't even express how happy I am for this. If you want to get this, I believe he's still available on Matty Collector. It's still available on Matty Collector, or you can probably get it on Amazon or in eBay, but that'll be a lot more money. I think it'd probably be better just to go ahead and go to Matty Collector and get it from there. Anyways, that's it for now. Thank you guys for joining me in this toy review, and I will join you in another one very soon. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.